Good morning, my name's Bill and I'm an alcoholic. And today's show is called Where Are the Cornflakes? There's not much more to stopping drinking than actually just stopping drinking. And there's very little else a drinker can do to sort their lives out than to take a good, hard look at themselves. But neither of these, unfortunately, were going to change anything in my life, except to make my life even more heinous and hurtful and less satisfying than it already was. Because stopping drinking and looking at myself does nothing except to make me more suicidal, to question my very existence, and to hate myself even more. In AA, I'm actually taught the complete opposite, that stopping drinking actually increases my perplexed, inconsiderate and grandiose view of the world in which I already live. And as for sorting myself out, well, that would be okay if I only knew exactly what needed to be sorted out. Because alcoholism is a disease that has always told me that I don't have a problem. Maybe I drink a bit too much. Maybe I go over the top a few times. Maybe I upset those around me a bit. But the truth is that for an alcoholic of our type, we have zero capabilities of self-diagnosis. Well, I did anyway. For 26 years I drank. And I really didn't know what my problem was. And if I did decide it was about drinking a bit too much, well, the truth is that since I couldn't stop, there was no point in looking any further. And that's effectively where Alcoholics Anonymous and the 12-step recovery program comes in. That's where a spiritual guide helps me in my journey to understand what exactly has gone wrong in my life. Step 1 in Alcoholics Anonymous that says I'm powerless over alcohol and my life is unmanageable clearly tells me what my problem is. That's all step 1 is. And the truth is, I never really knew. I never knew that alcohol had power over me. Now it's explained to me, I can understand it a little more now. That once I take that first drink, I can't stop. And when I'm not drinking, I'm thinking about drink. My whole day is governed by drinking, or when I can start drinking, or where I'm going to get the drink from. Everything is built around alcohol. And that unmanageability in my life has just gotten worse and not better. It's got more confusing and never easier. Where little nuances all through my day continue to tell me that I'm an alcoholic of our type. Where situations seemingly innocuous to the average person leave me resentful and confused and angry and bitter and with absolutely no answers. You only have to look at me the wrong way and it can bring about a turmoil in my life that I may end up drinking on. Because for an alcoholic of our type, I have to know why you're looking at me in a certain way. But I can't ask you, because I can't deal with rejection, I can't deal with confrontation, and altogether you might just laugh at me. But the trouble is, again, on a good day, I can deal with situations, I can deal with you looking at me in a certain way. But yet on another day, I'm completely stumped. Very simple, everyday little things like asking for directions are some days very easy. But on others, I prefer to find my own way, because I can't ask you for help. Because you may look at me in a way that say I'm stupid, or why don't I know where I'm going? And the trouble with this alcoholic, I have to show you that I'm okay, and I'm a survivor, and I can cope. And where something as simple as finding directions to where I'm going, I think that you think that I should know, so why am I asking you? While I'm trying to fix something that should be easy, like asking for help, many times in a day, it's not easy. I find it intensely frustrating. I find it agonizingly painful. And I find it confusing, where on one day I can ask and on the next day I can't. And it's not unlike unblocking a hoover. Some days it just works, and some days it doesn't. Some days I may manage to deal with something cleanly and succinctly, and other days it just produces a turmoil in my mind where I wish I'd never began. Queuing up when I'm already late has to be one of the worst things in my world. I hate being late more than falling into a den of hungry lions. I hate looking stupid, and I detest being laughed at. Trying to be clever, but in fact falling over, is my worst fear. Showing off in front of you and looking an idiot is the most terrible thing I've ever experienced. Maybe hearing myself on a tape recording is utterly painful. Where all these everyday little experiences are the things that separate, as we say in the big book, they separate the men from the boys. Or in other words, they separate those people who end up staying sober from those people who drink. I was recently in a supermarket and I needed to ask someone where the cornflakes were. But you'd think I'd been asked to dance naked up and down the aisles, and I just couldn't do it. So I aimlessly walked up and down, up and down, up and down, until I eventually found them. I'd walked past them 3 times. And if I'd asked for help, they were right by me all the time anyway. But other days I can ask with impunity. I have no problem. But on this day, I just couldn't. And I do wonder why this happens. And who knows? But what I do know, that it's all part of my alcoholism. One day I can be full of confidence, where I can take on the world. Where I'm the centre of my world and I'm the centre of the whole universe. But other days I'm just a scared child, frightened of confrontation, of criticism, of being laughed at, of actually being found out. Where my alcoholism, is not about living with a drink. It's really about surviving one day at a time without a drink. And that's where so many people get things wrong. Because the common misconception of sobriety is put down the drink and everything will be all right. Well, I can tell you in 26 years of sobriety, putting down the drink increases the problems that I had before, and just increases my fear of everything going wrong. So the 12-step recovery program offers me a spiritual guide in which I can slow down my mind, I can make sense of what's going on in the world, and I can find the courage contained within the Serenity Prayer to change the things I can, but of those things I can't change, to quietly walk away from them. Asking for where the cornflakes are in the supermarket may seem innocuous and an everyday thing that most people can do with impunity. But believe you me, to the alcoholic, on a good day, there's no problem. But on a bad day, it can cause such a deep-seated fear within me that I can tell you, without a program, it would be easier to go and pick up a drink. Bill the Shirt, Bristol.